Oh, what's up, GameLeap? There's 9 broken builds made for 13.6. Are you guys ready? Now, these builds are kind of flying under the radar, and some of them are actually going to be really OP as well, so we've got a nice mixture here, mate. And the reason there are 9 and not 10 is just because I couldn't actually find 10 builds, or like maybe 10 builds or another build that's like new, like these ones are. So make sure you stick around, guys, for the whole video to know exactly what these builds are. But just before we do get into the video, one thing you guys have to do before you get into your next game is to download the POROFESSOR app linked in the description, because it allows you to quickly import the best rune page used from the best players in the world on the champion you're picking. You don't have to make the rune page, just one click of a button and bang, you're ready to go. But that's not all, because the app also allows you to scout your opponents, and the app will give you their stats, how well they play their champion, so you can know more about your opponent than they know about themselves. And the app also gives you an in-game overlay, so you can compare your CS and your kill participation to your rank or even challenger players like Faker. And there's a reason why 3 million people have downloaded this free application, guys. It's because it works. So get around it in season 13. Those links are in the description. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about Comet Zed. And yes, you guys heard me correctly. You are running Comet on Zed in the mid lane. This is not jungle, this is mid lane Zed with Comet. The reason this is so good is because the poke you have with Comet and Scorch, and remember, back last season, Scorch got buff, right, so the tick damage, which is really nice for Zed during the laning phase. And believe it or not, like lots of people think, oh, Zed's a melee champion, but what you really are is a melee spellcaster. Very rarely are you going to be like going toe-to-toe with the enemy champion in a fist fight, unless you're running Conqueror or something and they stuff up, they use a big cooldown and you can jump on them for sure, but most of the time you're playing at range, waiting for your spells, poking them with Qs. Once you get your 3 basic abilities, your Q, W, and E, you're playing the lane from afar and poking them from a distance. Comet is just perfect for Zed, and you can see that in Master and Above, this is where these stats are from. In over 100 matches, to have a 55% win rate, that is legit. The recent Zed buffs as well help, of course, so your E being on a 3-second cooldown at level 13 now, this is huge as well. So yeah, consider doing this, guys, if you are a Zed main, and if you have actually tried this, let me know in the comments section what you thought of it and how it actually feels. Now, moving on, we have a champion in the top lane who is just going to be giga broken in 13.6, and already is. This is Vayne in the top lane. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I don't care what you build a death cap, go Comet on Vayne, seriously. No, probably don't. Go Lethal Templar. But hopefully you get my drift here, right? Like, this champion with the bust in 13.6 is just like the most uncounterable, unplayable against champion in the top lane. She counters pretty much every single champion up there. And because the bust, especially to your passive, like getting that much movement speed extra, like 50% extra, it's just way too big, right? And obnoxious. Her ban rate has already gone up in the top lane, and I think she's going to be the big kryptonite for pretty much every single top lane main. So watch out for Vayne, guys, in 13.6. Now, staying in the top lane here, we have a couple more setups. The first one I want to talk about is Gore Drinker Jace. Now, I have actually mentioned this in previous broken builds videos, right? Gore Drinker Jace is just amazing because, well, it's just really good into melee champions, right, in team composition. It also gives you a good amount of ability haste, which is really important for Jace. And once you do get Mana Mune and then something like Serylda's Grudge, you can get Black Cleaver into tankier compositions. You can even opt for stuff like more Mortius if you really want it, because remember, you're still getting ability haste from Gore Drinker, and therefore more, in a way, because of the mythic passive. It's just a really versatile setup. You might feel a little bit of damage like kind of lacking because you don't have the lethality you're going to get from Eclipse, but if you're into those close range compositions, Gore Drinker is just amazing. Jace is still a very powerful champion, so Gore Drinker Jace, think about trying this in your games against those melee champions and compositions you're going to play against. Now, the other build I want to talk about in the top lane is a Kennen setup. Now, if you're playing Kennen, you're probably going, what, like Rocket Belt? You might even think that he's on here because you can go somehow like Nash's Tooth. Not the case. I mean, maybe you could try Nash's Tooth on Kennen, but the actual build here, guys, is going Demonic Embrace and then getting a Heartsteel on Kennen. Now, Heartsteel is just like a really good item, and then when you pair this with Demonic, because you're getting so much HP from Heartsteel, the Azekana Gaze passive from Demonic Embrace is going to proc even more. You don't really need like that much damage on Kennen to do your duty anymore, because your AB scalings, your base damages went up, right, in 13.5. 13.6, nothing has changed for Kennen, nothing has been nerfed, so your damage is all still there, and because that went up, remember, you're still getting a good amount of AP from even buying Heartsteel because of that Azekana Gaze passive I just mentioned, so you can actually afford to go tank while not giving up that much AP. We're seeing this in high elo games at the moment, and it's a really good setup on Kennen. Definitely give this a shot in your games, guys. Now, kind of staying in the top lane a little bit, I'm going to talk about a setup for 2 champions in particular, which is really making them OP. So this is going Eclipse and then Blade of the Ruined King. Well, one of them is pretty popular. This is Xin Zhao, and it's really the main build on Xin Zhao. You can see that in Platinum and above, this build really works. The lethality, and because of the actual passive from Eclipse, this got buffed in terms of the cooldown going down, right? It's really useful. And then by going Blade of the Ruined King, your DPS is like off chopped. It's like the highest out of any champion on the Rift. So give this a shot on Xin Zhao. Now, the setup with Eclipse and Blade the Rune King is also really good on Pantheon. Kind of weird because attack speed on Pantheon, you shouldn't care too much about it, but Bork is actually really good after Eclipse on it. Exactly the same reason for Xin Zhao. The DPS you have, and I'd really recommend doing this, guys, if you're playing top lane Pantheon, because the HP shred you get from Bork, well, you're playing against lots of champions in the top lane with HP, right? In the mid lane, honestly, you're better off probably going like something full damage, maybe like Black Cleaver second after Eclipse, right? I mean, Black Cleaver isn't like straight damage, but it's not Blade the Rune King, right? Like your mid lane matchup, they're not going to be building HP unless it is something like a Malphite or something weird. But in the top lane, there are a lot of hit points. So Bork on Pantheon after Eclipse is also a really underrated setup. And remember, in the top lane, Eclipse is so good because of the armor penetration passive you're getting from this. So Eclipse Bork for Xin Zhao and Pantheon. There might even be some other champions out there who can go this. If there are any, let me know in the comment section. Now, heading into the jungle, guys, one champion who's going to be giga OP because of Nash's Tooth is Echo, and I mentioned this in our tier list video, right? The most broken champions. Echo's going to be right at the top. Rocket Belt into a Nash's Tooth. I think this will be the best option. You could always think of rushing Nash's, but Rocket Belt is such a good early game item on Echo because, well, I mean, it just gives you mobility, extra mobility. It really helps your damage spike as well, and then you can afford to get Nash's after this because you already have enough damage from Rocket Belt. You won't actually hit that hard until you complete Nash's, so it is like, yeah, 3,200 gold away, so get Rocket Belt and then get Nash's Tooth afterwards. Now, moving into the mid lane here, we have a champion who can also make use of Nash's Tooth, and it's kind of a weird one because Nash's Tooth mid lane is like, how many are there? Well, you might be thinking of Diana, but Diana in the mid lane, like Nash's Tooth isn't that useful because you want it in the jungle, right, to clear camps, the attack speed. So what I'm really talking about here is an attack speed AB champion, this being Varus, which does sound really weird, don't get me wrong, but you can even do this in the bot lane, and these stats here I've actually pulled as AD carry Varus in Platinum and above. And if you look at this Halo Blades page, when you actually go Riftmaker on Varus, over a 54% win rate in Platinum and above, this is real. And by going Ultimate Hunter, the cooldown on your Chain of Corruption is going down, and because of 13.6 is Nash's Tooth, where you're getting 15 ability A's now from the item, that will be even lower. I think this is going to be a really underrated setup, and we can see that it's actually outperforming going Lethal Tempo Shield Bow Varus according to the stats. So Nash's Tooth, another variation here, just AP Varus, whether you want to play him in the mid lane or in the bot lane. Bot lane is probably a little bit more safe because in the mid lane you do have some bad matchups. There are more assassins there, right? So do be careful of that. But yeah, AP Varus, I think it's a super fun way to play League of Legends, and it's even better because Nash has got buff. Now, moving down to the support role, guys, there are two builds here I'm going to mention, and you guys should count yourself lucky. I don't really mention that many support builds, but yeah, we've got two of them for today's video. Now, the first one is a Rakan build. Now, lots of you who are playing Rakan are going, what mythic? Shirelia's Battle Song, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's actually not the best mythic. Going Radiant Virtue is the best mythic. Look at these stats for me. Master and above, 18 games, 94% win rate. Then if we go to Challenger, and this is across the world, by the way, only 8 matches, but 100% win rate. Now, this is in Challenger. Not every enemy team these Rakan players are playing against are trolling, right? Most of these games are going to be real games. And the fact that Radiant Virtue Rakan has close to 100% win rate and over like 20, close to 30 games is just massive. Like, this is actual real. Yes, the sample space is not like 1,000 or 5,000 games. Radiant Virtue Rakan is just super OP. And by going Redemption second and then this Wardstone thing third, this is just the best setup for this champion. And because of all the recent buffs to Rakan, I think he's a super versatile support as well. You should definitely have him in your champion pool if you're a support player in the meta right now. Now, the final support, guys, and champion to talk about in this video, and if you are enjoying our recent content, please make sure to leave a like down below. And yeah, the final champion to talk about is Annie as a support, right? And a bit like kind of Rakan, well, this build I think is just more well-known, and it's super OP, right? So Annie, it's quite simple. You're going Shirelia's into Rylo's Crystal Scepter. Because Rylo's is going to work with Tibbers, it's really like the key point here. It's so frustrating to play against, and it's so OP. Like, legit, no one is going to escape from an Annie support with Rylo's Crystal Scepter. And when you have the movement speed from Shirelia's as well, if you think about that, and you activate it with a Tibbers, and you've got Rylo's slow on top of that, no one is escaping. It's kind of funny, like, watching them trying to escape. That was a bit sadistic. But yeah, Annie support, guys, with this, it's just super broken. It's kind of a well-known build as well. I understand that, so don't blame me for that. But I just thought I'd put it in this video because it is one of the strongest builds. Kind of like Echo with Nash's Tooth, or something like, you know, Eclipse, Bork, Xin Zhao, which are kind of known already. But yeah, just to really put them out there. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, if you did enjoy it, please leave a like down below. Any questions, any thoughts in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future Season 13 videos. This has been X. Peace.